Nnamdi Madubuike's injury situation has been one of the more polarizing questions in Baltimore over the last handful of months surrounding the Ravens, but there are some positive reports that are inspiring optimism.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Ravens. Welcome into the show. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And now the number one sports podcast network. Appreciate everybody for being here, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day here. And we have 5 days a week plus more daily Ravens coverage twice per day, both in the morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time, and in the evenings here on Locked On Ravens PM at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we have a lot to dive into on today's shows. There have been some positive Nnamdi Madubuike reports, some, updates on the situation that have rolled in, and I'm excited to talk about those. And then we'll also dive into Ravens getting some disappointing salary cap news, but honestly, it's not going to impact them too much. It's just something that they're not going to get that people thought they were going to, and it's the entire league, by the way. But let's first start off here with Nnamdi. Over the last, couple of months, ever since Nnamdi went down, there's been a lot of speculation about whether he will be back or not. And while there's still no official update from the team or Nnamdi Madubuike, there were a couple of people who have talked about the situation, including former Raven Femi Ayambadejo, who ended up talking about what he has heard around the situation. And Femi said, quote, "I'm cautiously optimistic that Nnamdi is going to play this year and he's going to be healthy. And I'm not just saying that because I want to be cautiously optimistic. There's more to it than I can really share at this moment. This is me gathering information from different sources that I have, and the only person that can confirm this is Nnamdi himself, which he hasn't done. I'm making it clear I have not spoken to Nnamdi about him being cleared. He has not said that to me directly. What I'm saying is, as I gather information and I look at some of the cryptic things he's put out on X, and then I'm also talking to other people, I am triangulating optimism that he will be back." And then Bobby Trossett over at The Vault, he put out a report that essentially, so the exact report is, quote, "I'm hearing that retirement is not in the cards from Nnamdi Madubuike, and there's a realistic expectation he will be back in Ravens uniform this fall." And Bobby's out at the combine and everything right now. And Bobby said, quote, "Does that mean he'll be back week one? I have absolutely no idea, and I'm not going to claim to know anything more than that. If he'll comfortable with this, whether or not he'll be comfortable or healthy enough to be back week one remains to be seen." And then Bobby also saying, quote, "This was a really complicated ordeal that he was faced with. I think he wanted to speak with a number of medical individuals before going forward. I don't know the specifics of the injury." So look, these are positive things that are being, put out there and reported here, and, just put out there in the universe, I guess. And again, there's been nothing from the player himself or the team itself, but it would be huge. I mean, we all know how huge it would be if Nnamdi were able to come back into the fold for the Ravens this season, especially with how dominant he has been. And we know how big of an impact he had for them and how big of a loss it was for them when he went down. He is a vital piece of that defensive line. It would solve a lot of problems for them, for being honest. Nnamdi, just putting him back in the lineup would be huge. But of course, the whole thing with neck injuries and everything, it's nothing to play with, right? And so for Nnamdi, I truly hope that this is true and he's able to be fully healthy and doesn't have to risk anything or be worried about anything, and he can just come back and play football if that's what he decides to do, and that's what the end result ends up being. Until Nnamdi says something, until the team says something, we don't know the official, what is it going to be. And that's, Bobby and Femi didn't say, "Oh yeah, he's playing 100%. It's just no, this is what they're hearing, and that's what they're sharing. But it is good to hear the optimism around the situation, especially for such a scary situation. Neck injuries can, impact people's lives. I mean, they're that scary of a thing. And, something Bobby mentioned is that, it's up to Nnamdi whether he wants to divulge into the, what the injury was for him. But for me, this is massive stuff. And I'm hoping that we will get the update from him at some point. I don't know when that would be, and we'll probably have to wait a little longer for that. But hopefully he'll be out there for the Ravens at some point next season. and he will be completely healthy, and all the worries that, he has been dealing with, I guess, will be gone, and he'll be able to just go out there and be himself and play like himself. There are a lot of other conversation points and topic points if it does get to that point where Nnamdi's able to return about, workload, and is he going to play full complement of this and all that. But we know the cap hit for Nnamdi, it's huge for the Ravens this year with the guarantees and everything that's going on there. So, I mean, look, the Ravens right now with Nnamdi, he has the third highest cap hit on the team. And with all the guaranteed stuff, the potential out for them is in 2027, if that's what it comes down to. But, if Nnamdi didn't play, they would have to pay, a big amount of money to have him just there, even if he wasn't on the team. So best case scenario here for everybody is that Nnamdi is able to play health-free, pain-free, whatever it may be, risk-free, right? That's the big thing. I don't want Nnamdi to risk anything to come back on the field, but we don't know the specifics of the situation, right? That's the thing. So that's big. And also, I still wouldn't, even if Nnamdi does come back, I still wouldn't ignore the defensive line position, right? You still want insurance there. Even if Nnamdi comes back, you still want depth there. They have guys still like Travis Jones and Aeneas Peebles, John Jenkins. I don't think Broderick Washington is going to be on the team, but, go out there and sign it like John Franklin Myers. You sign John Franklin Myers to put on that D-line with Nnamdi and Jones and all those guys. That's a dominant unit. Or you could draft a guy at 14. Is that Caleb Banks? Is that Peter Woods? Do you take a guy in the second round there? I still think you want to add there at that position because you want the insurance regardless of if Nnamdi is there or not. But hey, I mean, this is super positive stuff here. And while nothing is set in stone, obviously, I want to keep reiterating that because, again, that is up to Nnamdi to share when he is ready to share that. I'm super pumped, and little Friday optimism here on Locked On Ravens. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully what Bobby and Femi are saying here does come true and come to fruition. And I think that we know how that would impact Baltimore's defense. With Jesse Minter working with a lot of these guys and getting the best out of them, I think he can get the best out of Nnamdi, which maybe that's even better than his 2023. I don't know. I mean, he can be that dominant of a player, but I'm super excited for this. I keep saying it. I really want it to be true. I'm hoping it is, but those are the reports or updates or whatever you want to call them on Nnamdi right now, and I'm excited for him. So we will see. If you can't tell, I'm excited. Coming up in the second part of the show, we'll dive into the Ravens getting some disappointing salary cap news, but won't impact them too much. So stay tuned. Plenty coming up on the show. First, the show is brought to you by FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And the show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. With 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy, there's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. And for me, my number one, it has to be cherry because you got a bold cherry candy style flavor and a bright, punchy taste, which I really, really like. But a sleeper for me, it's Confetti Craze because you get a sweet birthday cake inspired flavor, and it's really a smooth dessert-like taste profile, which you're not going to hear me complaining about. It is incredible. 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. 5 Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned, and for me, I would love to see 5 Hour Energy make a starfruit flavor. I love starfruit, and I think it'd be really cool for 5 Hour Energy to do that. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Moving along here, Locked On Ravens. Kevin Oestreicher still here with you on this Locked On Ravens PM Friday edition of the show. Thanks so much for being here again, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day. We have 5 days a week plus more daily Ravens coverage twice per day for you again here on Locked On Ravens. So in the morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, and in the evening, 6 p.m. Eastern time as well. And that's on top of everything else we give you, like bonus episodes on the weekends when there are headlines. We got instant reactions after pieces of big breaking news for the Ravens, as well as after games, watch-alongs during the games, during the season, squad show twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and the Everydayer Club, which you can get some extra add-on content like one-on-one text conversations with me, access to a Discord server, ad-free episodes, weekly Q&As, a lot there. So if you want to check that out, link in the description down below, as well as on the Locked On Ravens page on the Locked On Ravens website. The NFL officially set their salary cap number. And, you know, it wasn't quite where people were projecting it at. It was on the lower end of what the projection was put out there, which is disappointing. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be too crazy. So cap is going to jump up 22 million, which is good. That was something we talked about, is like more growth, more opportunities to get these guys under contract. But it's going to be $301.2 million. So a lot of people were projecting the cap to be around $303.5 million. And Brian McFarland, Ravens salary cap, we've had him on the show a bunch. He knows his stuff. That was what he was using as well. So on the lower end of that projection. And the Ravens right now with that 301.2, Brian laid it out here. They have about $19.5 million in salary cap space right now. Now, that obviously comes before anything with Lamar Jackson or any re-signings, and Brian cautions that is before exclusive rights free agent, restricted free agents are factored in, and the number is going to go down, but it will go up with all the extensions and restructures as well. And he mentioned the fact they have a $2.2 million decision to make on Keaton Mitchell with the tenders and whatnot, and you can give him, if you want, a second round tender, which is going to cost about $5.8 million. A low round tender is about $2.5 million there, like Brian was talking about there. So I think for Baltimore, it's okay. They still have a lot of room to work with. And, you know, a difference of $2.5 million is not the end of the world here. Could make some level of a difference if you know, for like a lower level signing or something along those lines. But even though that news in itself is disappointing, of man, it's not towards the higher end of that projection that people have been using, the Ravens are in a fine spot salary cap wise, and they're going to be able to be in an even better place once they figure out some of this stuff. I assume they're going to cut Broderick Washington for about $4 million in savings. I assume they're going to cut Justice Hill for $3 million in savings. That one's more up in the air than Broderick Washington, in my opinion. I don't think Marlon or Roquan are going anywhere. We could see other restructures as well. But, I mean, that Lamar one is going to be the big one, whether it's an extension or a restructure. I mean, that to me is the big one. So you already have 19. You do have to re-sign some of your own guys. We know that, and they hopefully will re-sign a guy like Linderbaum. And maybe that is like that 19 gets used up, and maybe they do a more front-loaded deal. I don't know what they're going to end up doing there. But, again, you can maneuver these cap hits so that the cap hits in year one are lower. That's usually what they do. I wouldn't expect the Ravens to do a lot of high or, I guess, front-loaded contracts is what that is, right? The front-loaded deals. They like to do back-loaded stuff. A lot of teams do. So I think for the Ravens, there are going to be a lot of opportunities for them this offseason. And I'm not necessarily saying, hey, go out there and trade for Max Crosby and A.J. Brown and sign Linderbaum. And I'm not saying they have that much money, but their roster already is very high floor. And I think that if you just add, not along the margins, you have to bring in impact players, but, you know, if you add decent to solid guys, I mean, again, if it's just better than last year, like, the bar's on the floor for the offensive line in terms of how bad they were last season, right? So if you can just get decent, halfway decent offensive line play, if you can get more of a pass rusher, maybe that includes Nnamdi back in the fold, I don't know. But at the end of the day, this team they're in a good spot, in my opinion. Like, I truly, genuinely believe that. So I think Baltimore, look, it'd be great to have the extra $2.5 million or whatever, $2.5 million, but it's not going to ruin their offseason. It's disappointing, but it's not hindering to what their ultimate plan is. The salary cap stuff, it starts and ends with Lamar Jackson. And once that get situated, they're going to have a lot more money to play around with. That's all I have here today on Locked On Ravens. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. On the web, be sure to like and subscribe on the video form and follow along, subscribe in audio form for 5 days a week plus more of daily Ravens coverage. Coming up, maybe some bonus episodes on the weekend, but if not, we will be back here on Monday with our regularly scheduled programming. So be sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you right back here soon on Locked On Ravens.